right. Hello there, folks. I am Rebecca Adams. You're watching Free to Soar, and I have two people with me tonight, not just one. So we have our regular, which is Becky Vermeer.
Oh, how are you?
Did you hear that, Leah?
Kinda.
Go closer to your mic. I don't know. It's so weird. Go closer to your mic and do it.
How can you hear me otherwise?
I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
weird.
it's the pitch, but you've been doing
Let me
this.
try this. Hello.
That'll
I'm
work.
rubbing off on her.
Was that better?
Yes, we could hear that. And then we have an awesome special guest with us tonight. We have Leah Denham. And did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Denham. Yeah.
We have Leah Denham with us tonight, and that's such a perfect fit. You have no idea. I love denim, like jeans, that kind of fabric.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it.
It's spelled with an A, not an I, but hi.
And Leah is going to talk with us tonight, and we're really excited about this. And I know y'all are going to learn a lot. Did you want to say something, Becky?
I just said, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. All right. No.
Now, I recall before we started recording that you told me you had a surprise.
I do. I don't have any earrings in tonight.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Do you like root beer, first of all?
Love it.
What about you, Leah?
Love root beer.
A&W is my favorite. This is a shameless plug for A&W Root Beer. Yes.
Nice.
I found
Nice.
2 mugs at a thrift store, brought them home. I always bleach water wash anything that, it's going to contain food. And I do just like they used to do back in the day. Becky, you remember this. So
Frosty cold mug.
Yep, they chilled the mugs in the fridge. Then they would put the root beer in here. And so, yeah, that's what I had to drink tonight. So every time you watch me get a drink, just salivate a little, okay?
Man, I'm gonna be.
Yes.
I'm not gonna be able to handle it.
Oh my goodness. And of course I had to buy A&W root beer when I went to the store. Hello.
Because there's no other kind.
There is no other brand. So this is an unpaid commercial for A&W root beer.
It's got that frosty mug taste.
Oh, girl, there's nothing like it. I'm serious.
Put some ice cream in it and be the best.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Eat the ice cream separate, and then drink. If you want to drink some root beer, don't put them together. Oh.
I kind of have to go with Leah on this one. A root beer float's pretty tasty.
Yeah. You go right ahead. You go right ahead.
In a frosted mug, that's perfect.
Yes.
You go right ahead. This gal ain't doing that.
Now, I told you last time we recorded, I think we talked about it. I have a mug that's about half the toddler size.
Yeah.
A&W root beer. If I'd have known you were going to surprise us with that, I'd have brought my baby mug on.
I'm going to tease you all night long.
Wow. No, that's not nice.
So do you have socks to show us?
I do.
What is the featured sock of the night?
Do you see that pun you just did there? The feet shirt.
Only you would pick up on that, Becky. Ooh.
I've got my happy face socks.
Do you wear those in Walmart?
Those.
Excuse me?
Do you wear those when you go into Walmart?
Well, I don't go to Walmart if I can avoid it. So why do they look like Walmart socks?
No, the smiley face. They have smiley face.
If I go to Walmart, it wouldn't be a smiley face on these socks.
They roll back prices. You might want to wear them.
I love those.
I like my happy face socks.
I like those. They were really popular. The smiley face was really popular in the 60s and 70s.
Was it?
It was.
I do my best to bring a smiley face with me everywhere I go.
That's good.
It's usually on my face, but
yes,
I do my best to bring it with me.
You do a good job of that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you do. You're always smiling.
I try.
I always thought she would be so fun to work with.
Oh, she's awesome to work with.
That's cool.
I love it.
I
She
didn't
always
dare to
has
say
something
that.
in the song.
That's right. Gotta get
Everything's a
some
song.
singing. Everything's a song.
I love
Yes.
it. Why don't you do that on here?
Because you told me not to.
I didn't know you did it. Now I see why your sister talks about you that way. So tell us about your t-shirt too, Becky. You've been
Oh, I just had this wonderful opportunity this past weekend to go to a Jeep Jam. There was like 600 Jeeps registered for this Jeep Jam, and I got to be a part of it. And so there was a vendor that makes these shirts, and so I had to buy one.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
says the journey begins where the road ends. That's what it says.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome.
Big fan.
Be great with the Bronco on it, but
No. I have to disagree with you. No. I've already told you, Leah and I have an ongoing fight about Jeeps and Broncos.
yes.
And I told Leah the one thing that the Bronco will always be remembered for is OJ Simpson. So if that's who she wants to associate with, she has the right to do that.
I'll get her back on it. I just haven't figured it out yet.
Oh
That's
my
fine.
goodness.
That's fine if that's what you want, if that's the kind of vehicle you want to drive.
That's horrible, Becky. They're really cool trucks. I love
You
them.
know.
They're rated #1 over Jeeps. And I have to do it. I'm gonna rent a Bronco and put it in her parking spot one day just because.
This may be the last official crisis center business that Leah does.
Yes. Gotta make your day, Becky. No worries. Gotta keep that smile on.
Oh, boy.
Well, Leah, we better get down to business, I think. I think this Jeep and Bronco thing could go on all night long. I have a feeling.
Yes, ma'am.
It could.
Yeah.
It could.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been going on for a while.
So before we get too far into it, let me say a little bit of something about Leah, if I can.
Yes, please.
Are you okay with that? I've known Leah. How long have I known you, Leah? How old were you? You were a child, preteen.
Probably like 13.
Yeah,
Really?
13ish. So I've known Leah for a really long time.
Okay.
And I've had the opportunity to interact with her family, the whole deal. I've seen Leah make incredible changes in her life. And so the person that I met when she was 13, what I saw was an amazing bundle of potential. And I told her that. And over the years, there's been some struggles and some things that I think Leah might get into tonight, but I never, ever stopped seeing Leah as that person with that amazing bundle of potential. One of the greatest
Thank
joys
you.
of my life has been about a year ago. We reconnected. She came and sat in my office. I told her I had a job available. I saw significant change in her, and I saw that potential that I had seen all those years shining forth. And so it was the right time. And so I joyfully offered her a position at the crisis center, which she took.
Yes.
So she started as a full-time support advocate, and then about February of this year, she moved from the support advocate position into our volunteer coordinator position. And Leah will tell you probably at some point that she's never met a stranger. And the good thing about that is that works perfectly for the job that she finds herself in now. So we are truly thankful and blessed to have her join our team at the crisis center. So I want to start this whole conversation with that.
Thanks,
so
Becky.
Awesome.
Thank you. And so I admire the courage and bravery you have tonight coming and sitting and visiting with us. I told her that I think the forum tonight will probably be, hey, Leah, tell us your story.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll kind of go from there. So unless you have other things to preface with, Rebecca, I think we're at the, hey, Leah, tell us your story place.
That sounds like a good jumping off point to me.
Are you ready to dive in?
I am.
Yes.
All right, let's dive in.
Well, first off, I want to say I had the best parents. I had a great mom, a great dad. Sister, brother, went to Christian school all my life, just never seemed to, I've always wanted to be cool. And I guess I've never been the cool person. So, you start meeting people and, partying a little bit to kind of fit in, you know what I mean? And, I met some pretty big winners. I met my kid's dad, I'd say about 15. Thought he was the best. I thought I got myself a gold star with this one. Like, he was amazing. And it turned out for the worst. I was raised right. And so you don't think with kids that went to Christian school and had a mommy and daddy that you would catch yourself at a young age in a messed up situation. I got with them when I was about 14. We've been hanging out. 15. About 16 it started. I guess I could say it was more of a like him talking to me in a rude way, and I don't know, it was weird. I didn't ever see any of that behavior before, and so when I turned 17, I became pregnant with his first kid, and he had another girl pregnant, of course. So I started becoming really insecure with myself. And about 17, when I had my first daughter, Talia. He started hitting me, um, uh, really bad. I guess I can say that I didn't know how to act because, when you grow up in the kind of environment I do, my parents are still married. So you're like, okay, I had a kid with this guy. I need to make it work. And I tried, and he beat me up a couple times pretty good. And my mom's good friends with Becky. So, Becky, which I love Becky. I look up to her. She's an amazing woman. She kind of stepped into my life more in depth, and tried to explain to me what I was going through. But of course, I'm not going to believe anybody. I'm 17. So I ended up in, what was it, Oklahoma or Chicago first. I was in Chicago with them, and I got pregnant with my second kid. We ended up back here in Missouri, and then we ended up in Oklahoma. He beat me up really good there, really good. He split my placenta with my son, and my mom had to come get me. And I moved into the shelter, but just, I don't know. Ever since then, I kind of lost respect for myself. Uh, yeah, I lost respect and love for myself. And I think that's where people really, really mess up, because when you go through something, it's not your fault, but we obviously think it's our fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know what I did wrong. I couldn't have my white picket fence, my kids. I was just wanting to get married and be loved by somebody. So it put that in my back of my mind frame that, nobody could love somebody with two kids. Yeah. I was 19, I was 20 when I had two. So when you have that in the back of your mind, you seem to pick those kind of guys no matter what. So I started involving myself with other men, and I had another kid by another man who wanted to shove me, but this time I started hitting back. Just enough's enough. So I ended up leaving him back at the shelter. And through this whole thing, I think the only person that I could talk to was Becky. And so I talked to her about everything. Well, after we split up, I got into drugs pretty bad, because when you don't love yourself, you do things that, you do. And so you get with the other men. I don't know. I feel lost. I'm kind of nervous. I started doing a lot of drugs heavily, because you kind of lose sight. I don't know. I'm getting nervous to talk about this. I never talked about
Don't
this.
be nervous. Don't be nervous. Just whatever you need to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing great.
You really are.
You know, my kid's dad is put my, I think the first time you get abused, you kind of, and you, I don't know how to explain this. The mind frame that you get yourself into just proceeds, and it made me feel horrible. I was on drugs for a lot of years because of it, because I couldn't cope with the fact that I wasn't good enough for anybody. Went to jail a lot. I left the kids with my mom, you know, I've put my family through a lot just by starting off with just getting abused by a man. You know, this lady told me that you could train your brain in 21 days. You can do anything in 21 days. 21 days creates a habit. So in 21 days, if I could do something, what can a person do to me in 3 to 5 years, you know? And so it's taken me all the way till I was almost 38 before I decided that, you know, yeah, I had to change everything about me.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the gist of it a little bit. I don't.
So let me interject here for a second, if you would. I want to go back to, so you start out by saying that you were raised in a home where your mom and dad are still married.
Mhm.
And so what you saw was I'm guessing a seemingly strong, intact relationship. I'm guessing your parents have been married that long. I'm guessing that your dad's not abusive to your mom.
No.
So help me get into your brain for a second. The first time the father of your first child hit you, how did your brain process that?
Yeah.
What is your response to that?
I was scared. Like, I didn't know exactly what I did wrong. I didn't know why somebody would do that. Like, I kind of felt like it was my fault. Like, I made him do it because I wasn't used to any of that. I mean, I've never seen it. So I was like, what did I do? Why would this guy just hit me? You know what I mean? Yeah, I was really scared.
Yeah.
How long
So I'm
had you
sure it
been?
didn't make sense.
Oh, exactly. How long did you say, refresh my mind? Sorry, memory is my issue. How long had you been with him when he hit you?
About 2 years, but I
Okay.
was younger. I mean, he'd push me around here and there, but you know, I thought when you get drugs involved, that's just how people act, you know, because, well, I wasn't raised around any of that, so I didn't know how people acted. So it was about 2 years into it, but I believe after we had a kid, he felt like he owned me. He basically told me he owned me. So, you know, and if I was to leave him, he'd kill my family. So I was scared.
Mhm.
You know, I was really scared.
Well, in the last episode that Becky and I recorded, I'm pretty sure it was a recent one anyway. We talked about the abuser knows when you've bought in or when you're in 100%, and that's when the abuse starts. Mhm.
That's the truth.
Or at least it intensifies. Like, and that was going to be another question I was going to ask you, Leah. So you have a child and now he hits you, but you say you've been in a relationship for 2 years. Looking backwards, do you think during those initial 2 years, do you think there were other signs that he was abusive to you, but you just didn't know to call it abuse? Like
Yes.
what kind of things were happening then?
Well, when we first got together, I got pregnant because I got pregnant 2 years. So when I first got with him, you know, I wasn't allowed to talk to men. I wasn't allowed to see my family without him. Which I just thought, oh, this is cute. You know what I mean? Like, this guy really likes me, you know? Um, he gave me money. I wasn't allowed to work. You know what I mean? If I said something wrong, he'd yell at me or send me to my room, which was kind of crazy. And I mean, I just thought that's what you did. I just thought maybe it was a different background than my family. So looking back now, I could definitely see there was total big signs saying, hey, this guy is not good. But I didn't listen to him because I was kind of naive, trying to fit in somewhere I wasn't fitting in, you know?
Yeah. So then another thing that you said was, I don't deserve it. Like I don't deserve better is kind of what I can't remember your exact words, but I'm not worth it. I think those were your words. I'm not worth it. Where do
Mm.
you think you learned the message that you're not worth it? Where did that come from?
I think was a subconscious message. I think that after about a year, he'd body shame me a lot, oh, you need to lose weight. Oh, you think anybody's gonna want you. I'm the only one that wants you. So he kind of demeanored me throughout the time, a little at a time. And about the second year when I got pregnant, I was fat and, like it's gross. And so I just had no self respect afterwards, So I didn't feel like I was worth anything at that time.
And so while that was going on, what was his attitude about himself?
Oh, he was something else. He was just this God's gift to women. And if I let him go, some other girl's going to want him. And, did I really love him for who he was because he made money and, all that. So, yeah, he just thought he was God's gift to women. I wish I
So
would have
he
met him at this age.
what
Let
would
him
be
know.
different? What would be different if you met him today?
What would be different?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd give him the time of the day.
Yeah.
I look for people on the insides now, I'm like, you are so ugly. You don't have to be, you could be the cutest guy in the whole world, which I guess I think I goggles on, but on the inside's what matters more now, so, and I love myself. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I love myself, every inch of me.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. If you get to the place where you look at yourself in the mirror full on and you're like, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And looking at yourself and loving yourself and thinking that you're awesome does not indicate for 1 second you're not aware of the fact that you've got some flaws or there's some things that maybe you could change, but you embrace yourself for who you are, where you are in the moment. And that really is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
Yes, because if you can't love yourself, nobody else can love you.
Yeah.
Good.
Not the way you want to be loved. So that's how I
Right.
feel.
Right. Were you trying to say something, Rebecca?
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. Sometimes with three people, there's a little bit of a lag. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. I think tonight I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. We go back to my memory issues, but you said you were talking about how you got into the drugs, and I never saw this before, and you didn't actually come right out and say it. But part of the reasons that I'm wondering, Becky, you can join in on this, excuse me, on the reasons for starting using the drugs is also to damage yourself because you thought, I forget how you worded it, but how horribly you thought of yourself. Am I on track or am I off track?
Well, yeah, I got into drugs kind of to be cool. But then when I started hating myself, it made it a lot easier
Yeah.
to numb myself because I was damaged goods, you know what I mean? So there was no point in being something because I'll never be that person anymore,
Mm-hmm.
So
How old were you when you started using drugs?
heavy drugs.
Just drugs in general?
Oh, 13.
13. And so
Yeah.
there had already been a little bit of drug use in your life before you met the father of your child.
Yeah, just a little, maybe go on the weekends, bratty teenager stuff, but nothing heavy until I met him.
And do you think that there was a reason that you started using drugs, or was it just to be the cool kid?
No, to numb my pain.
So even at 13, you had some pain that you were numbing.
Yes.
So the reason I ask that is I heard you say a little while ago that you were kind of in a cycle where you kept choosing the same kind of person.
Yes.
And my mentality toward abusers is this: I think that abusers prey on their victims. And so I think abusers choose a person. I don't think a person chooses an abuser. And so I think it's really important to highlight that, because if you were already at a place when you met this person where you felt less than or not good enough or worthless, and he came along and gave you just enough to make you initially feel good, and then slowly deteriorated that over the process of your relationship. He picked you. I don't think you picked him. I think he preyed on you the way that a lion preys on a deer, so to speak. I think that's what happened.
I think you're right.
And
I
then
never really looked at it like that.
I just wanted to bring that out because I hear so many women, I've heard so many women over the years say, I have a problem with the men I pick. And I honestly, truly, with every fiber of my being, believe that abusers pick their victims, handpicked.
The
And there's
easier, the
something
better.
about a word that they say and the way the person responds during the initial meeting or whatever else that says to the abuser, oh yeah, this is somebody that I'm going to be able to move in on and control, or take over. Not to imply for 1 second that I think there was anything wrong with you, but I think that abusers are really good at finding people who are in a state of brokenness, pretending like they're going to build on that brokenness in a good way, and then all they do is shatter whatever little bit that you had left. And that's kind of their MO. That's kind of the way they work.
How much
That
of it,
makes a lot of sense. Yes.
it does, doesn't it? How much of it do you think is body language that the deer gives off to the lion, more or less, showing that they don't feel like they're worth anything or
I
whatever?
mean, I think it all plays into it. I think there's it's a whole package kind of a thing. There's that it may be initial of that, but then I think that what we know to be true about abusers try to gain as much information as they can as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
And so that's the barometer. There's pointed questions that they ask, there's things that they do. That's the barometer. Because I'm telling you, and I've told you this before, Rebecca, if there's an abuser that walks into a bar and there's 6 women sitting at the bar, that abuser might talk to all 6 of them. And if the first woman he walks up to, he says, hey, beautiful, how are you today? And she says, take a walk, jerk. He's
Yeah.
going to take a walk
Mhm.
because it's not worth the effort to try to break the spirit of this person. He's not going to do that. But if he, again, I'm not in any way putting blame on the victim. That's not at all my point.
Right.
But I think abusers have some kind of a sixth sense for brokenness, and they seek out brokenness.
Do
So I
you
would venture to guess, Leah, in your situation, that person sought out brokenness. But
Yeah,
then I
because I was,
wonder if you're willing to share with us, was there something when you were 13 and 14 that already played into the brokenness? Or was it just something inside of you that always felt less than?
well,
You don't have
yes,
to answer any question that I ask.
I know. And
Okay.
it's okay. I'm okay with it. I just never really talked about it. I have been molested at a younger age. And so it made me feel like a dirty person. I don't, I'm over it, but I have not really ever talked about it really. I was younger. It was nothing anybody else could do, just wrong place, wrong time, and a friend. And so after that, it kind of changed my whole who I was. I didn't want people to look at me, you know what I mean? And it made me feel like a dirty person.
Mm.
So yeah, I tried to numb things in the beginning so people didn't get to really see what really happened to me because it was embarrassing to
Mhm.
me at that time.
Yeah,
So
that makes complete sense.
yeah, it was embarrassing. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't quite understand why somebody would take advantage of you and it seemed like, to be honest with you, Becky, it seemed like the first time it happened, it started happening more and more. Like I went to a high school party and I got too drunk. And I was laying and I could just remember this guy, he was on the football team and he says, don't you think it'd be cool to F a high schooler? And I was in 7th grade and it seemed like once you've been attacked, they put like a pheromone on you in a way, and they just come at you more and more. The more things happen to you, it just comes naturally more.
And so, I mean, all those things, absolutely, they work to destroy your sense of self.
Yeah.
100%. Did you have anybody that you could talk to during that time frame? Did you tell your family? I mean, were you able to reach out to your parents?
No, I was scared to talk to my parents, because well, first I get in trouble for being at a party that I snuck out to. I talked to my sister. My sister, pinned him up against the locker, one of the guys, but
Love it.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, my sister's not one you would want to mess with back in the day, real tall, but um I never really told anybody about the first one because I didn't want to lose my friendship. Because, the guy, when I was younger, the guy told me, well, if anybody knows you can't be friends, they're going to take her away from you. He really, your parents would just be disgusted in you. So he really laid it on thick. And I was a little younger. So I kind of took that one and just walked with it. I was scared. And then the second time happened, I took a bunch of pills at school and kind of overdosed on them. And my sister asked me why, and that's the first time that ever came out.
Wow.
So I've never been, and it's nothing to say about my parents. I just didn't want them to be disappointed in me because I always, at that time, I always tried to make them think that I was doing great and I was this great kid, and I didn't have all these problems. I didn't want to be a burden. And that's something that went in my back of my head, that I was a burden, like they have these perfect kids and then they got me, you know what I mean? So it was really hard for me to come to my parents and tell them things about myself. So I just didn't. And once you start closing off, it's hard to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I hid it for a long time and probably just pretty much acted out
Mhm.
because I didn't know how to express myself.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what people do. Like, I, as a kid in, 7th grade, you're still a kid, as a kid,
Oh yeah.
you can't emotionally process those kind of things the way that an adult can. And so you take that and you couple that with the fear factor of the threats that went along with that. Of course, you felt like you couldn't say anything to anybody. But the damage that it does to you is you still know inside of you, that it was wrong. That wasn't okay. But
Yeah.
you don't quite know how to reach out or what to do about it. It's a really
Yeah.
lonely place. That's a really lonely place to be.
Yeah. So that's where the numbing comes in,
Mhm.
because for once in the time you're just like, I don't feel this anymore. This doesn't hurt my feelings anymore. I'm not stuck in a box anymore. So I think that's really kind of why I did it. I mean, I was lashing out, wanted to fit in. I think I wanted to fit in because I felt like I was damaged, and reclused myself, and nobody could want somebody like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, fast forward, we'll probably go back to some questions, but just based on what you said, nobody could want somebody like that. Sitting here talking to you today and knowing you the way that I've known you in the past year or so, I feel like you don't feel like that anymore. How do
No,
you feel, how do you feel about you today?
I love myself. I I think I've overcome a lot. I've beat all their statistics because I hate that they put people as a statistic. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a part of that. And so I fought really hard. I met a really nice guy, which, that doesn't come along. He could handle me, which I'm a hard person to handle sometimes. He's a really quiet guy. But he's been my rock, and I never thought that somebody damaged like me would be able to find somebody so soft spoken and care for me. There is still men out there, it's so, yeah, I'm
So
blessed now.
when you first started that relationship, did you still think you were damaged?
Yes.
So then what
Yes.
changed? When did that change?
Uh, I got with him when I first started to decide I wanted to change my life, and he was very tender with me and told me I was beautiful all the time. And it took, I'd say we've been together almost we've been together 2.5 years, and it's taken probably a whole year. Like, he has been very patient with me and just reassuring me all the time, which, is kind of hard to do, but he's reassured me, and helped me become the person I am today.
So then how do
But I
you
was
take all
evil.
the, do what?
I was evil to him. Like, I always felt like, I really have always felt like, there was something up. Something was suspect, like, what was he thinking, or why was he doing this? Like, who could really love me? Like, I thought he was a liar, like he wanted something out of me, but it's taken a long time to just, it's hard.
Yeah.
That would be a lot to overcome, to work past and really listen to what they're saying and believe them. I get that.
Yeah. But there is people out there that are patient, I never thought I'd find one, but I did. And I'm blessed for it.
This is the international hand signal for help. And it could be maybe they're being trafficked, they've been kidnapped, they're being abused, whatever it is. So if you see somebody do this, they're going to take their thumb captive and the four fingers are going to be like the abuser, okay? Or like the four walls around them. And so if you see somebody doing this and they're doing it over and over, they're saying, help me, get help. So teach that to your kids and grandkids. And that's one thing we're wanting to do on this channel, is to educate people. So I take and I clip out that part and I post it on YouTube, and I'll do it with every single episode, because we want people to know what that international hand signal is. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's very needed.
Yeah,
With
definitely.
everything going on nowadays.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have had that back in the day, because some days I was really scared, and I think, just to have somebody help out,
Yeah, because you can flash this out of a car window, or
Yep.
you go up to pay for something, and you could do that real, right down
Right down there in the low. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can do that. Yeah. So I'll let you teach the staff tomorrow, Leah.
Gotcha.
Now,
They
come on
forgot
now.
about us.
Come on now. They should be watching our videos and then they would have already learned it by now.
Oh,
That is true.
okay. Is that what you were relying on,
Yeah.
Becky?
You're so right.
You are too funny.
There's something that will definitely start learning and teaching people. I think that's pretty cool.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think I seen something like that on Facebook or Instagram. So, but I didn't know it was really a thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really is. So we wanted to just literally catch fire and spread across the world, really, because it's an international signal. So you don't even have to speak the same language.
yeah. You don't need to speak the same language. Sometimes you can't speak at all because you'll get in trouble. So
right.
So I think that's really cool.
I mean, I think of the scenario when I saw a guy beat up his girlfriend, whatever she was to him, and then she was able to escape, and she walked past me. I was a pedestrian, and she walked past me. That would have been a good scenario for her to have been able to do this, on the down low. And then as she walked along, because it was just packed with people, and somebody could have, pulled her aside and said, hey, let's go do this. And it's actually a ploy to get her away from him. Or like Becky said, say, hey, like you knew him or whatever, pull him aside and start to talk to him, and then she can get away. So there's so many scenarios of how this could work. But yeah, I think
that's a safe way to do it. That is so cool.
Yeah, it really is. Because you may not be able to write a note and say, help me, but you can flash a hand signal like this. Doesn't take very long, because maybe that's all the time they have to do is that. They may not have time to open their hand again and do it over and over and over again. You may only see this part of it, and then you go, oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, thank you.
I'll teach him tomorrow, Rebecca.
There you go. Teach tomorrow.
Okay. She
I
disappeared.
ran away.
She ran
She
away. Oh my
disappeared.
goodness. That's where editing comes in handy. There she
Oh,
is.
Here I am. Sorry, I had to plug in my computer.
That's all
I'm
right.
not the best at these things.
You're fine. Leah, we just thank you so much for coming on tonight
Thank you.
and your bravery to share your story. None of us are proud of the choices that we've made. I'm not proud of having drug my kids through all those years of, abuse with their father. There's so many things like that. I could go on and on and on, but that takes a lot of courage for you to do what you did and tell your story. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for having me on there. I kind of choked up. I never really choke up. I usually have words on words, but I guess it's a little harder to talk about it more than I thought. But I really appreciate you guys having me on here, and I really do. And I enjoyed meeting you, Becca. I love you, Becky. But thank you guys so much for having me on here.
You've done a great job. Thank you very much for sharing your story. I know it's tough, but it's hard to be vulnerable. But I think that you've been vulnerable, and somebody's going to benefit from hearing it.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
the way. That's the only thing that I want, is to be able to tell somebody. It might just touch one person. That's all. And make me feel like I went through something from order somebody else to get help. So
Mhm. Exactly. Well, folks, we thank you for joining us. And Miss Becky, of course, we thank you for being here too. Don't want to
My
forget
pleasure.
you.
you're amazing.
Thank you.
She is, isn't she? I give her a hard time, but she is. She really is amazing.
Well, thank
Yes.
So, folks, remember that no matter where you are in this process, you're always free to soar.